Welcome to the Weed Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Davis. Today we're joined by a very special guest, Niko Dank of Cannara, the man behind the brand and the books. Let's jump right to the point here. Niko has built the model for a producer in this industry. From pheno hunting to merchandising, Cannara is not only profitable, but robust and growing. Last quarter, Cannara posted net revenues of $15.9 million with net income of $2.9 million, all while doubling production capacity. We're going to pick Niko's brain today, and let you all know how he built a profitable business in the hardest market in the world, Canadian cannabis. Welcome, Niko. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing good, man.
Good to have you. So as a starting point, can you give us a primer on your personal history with the plant?
Yeah, for sure, man. I've been in love with the plant ever since I was, call it 12 years old, 14 years old, man. It was high school. Like a lot of us, had that first toke. And I actually fell in love with it very early on, and it was through one of my high school buddies that we just kept, every night just smoked a doobie. But where I was also really good in academic and school, so I didn't let, that stoner concept, affect me, but I was really focused on school and making sure I was doing really good. And I used actually cannabis to almost like a carrot on a stick, to be able to do tests and do all these things, right? So I fell in love with it. It helped me throughout my whole school career, my actual work career. I work till 2-3 a.m. every single day, and I'm just sparking, dabbing and all that, and it helps me just get creative, take away the stress, and get really focused. So I attribute a lot to it. I've never grown in my life, but I've just been around cannabis and have such a passion for the product, the branding, the type of products that are out there. And now that we're running this huge facility, I get to see the plants. I get to see how they grow, learn how they grow too. So it's honestly all awesome.
At the beginning stages, would you get sort of technical with it with your buddies, or would you dive into the genetics and sort of?
Oh yeah, man. We nerded out hard on all these genetics. We went to the U.S. to try different genetics as well. All my friends were growers as well, so they actually grew the seeds, and I found seeds too, and they grew it. We smoked it, and we did that whole testing thing, and really found out which ones were, really hot genetics at that period of time.
And I just big spreadsheet open, just tracking everything, trends.
Still to this day, I'm a spreadsheet guy. I have all the genetics, all the flavor profiles, my scoring on them. We hunt through a lot of genetics. I've hunted through a lot of genetics in my lifetime.
That would be a pretty valuable spreadsheet to have that master. Right?
Yeah.
I've heard you say that before on another podcast that you use cannabis as a carrot. So versus a supplement. So would you approach it kind of like a leisure product, or would you kind of leverage it for creativity? If you're, crunching a spreadsheet or doing some accounting, work or studies or whatever, would you kind of leverage cannabis for that? Or would you kind of be like, I'm going to put 6 hard hours in here, then I'm going to smoke a joint? And
at the beginning, when when you're learning, you're young, you're learning who you are. I made sure, and I think that's for young people, that's important, not let it to overtake you when you're young, probably till you're 25 years old, use it as the carrot on the stick.
Yeah.
After that, if you get control and you know where you're going, just cannabis becomes part, if you can bring it into your life, and that's what I've done now, and I've used it now to help me get through, just keep the fuel going,
Right.
Just,
so you can thread it through your life a little bit better as sort of like a supplement versus
absolutely.
Gotcha.
It's part of me now. It's not even a supplement to me. It's part of my blood.
Right. So Cannara has 3 headliner brands: Nugs, Tribal, and Orchid CBD. Can you break out the branding ecosystem for us and your thought process behind the branding of each? For example, I've heard Tribal's approach is enjoy the journey and explore the destination. So is that talk me through your kind of thought process there.
Yeah, for sure, man. For Tribal was always about finding the right genetics. For me, my vision for Tribal is to have 24, 40, 50 genetics rotating every 6-12 months, but across every terpene profile, across every category of high, across every taste and experience, right? So that's pretty much where the slogan comes in. It's really explore the destination, is explore all these genetics that we have, and then just enjoy after, right? Enjoy whatever journey you're on to. So that's Tribal, and we make it very it's sophisticated yet simple by the fact that we find all these genetics, we're laying it down, so when a customer says, you know what, I like the lemon flavor, but I want creative type high, and I don't want it to make me too anxious. I want it mid tier, right? Yeah. You know exactly which genetic under Tribal to recommend the client, right? And then from there, it's a 4-step approach, which is, how do you consume? Do you consume in flower? Do you consume in pre-roll? Do you consume in live resin vapes or vape carts? And do you consume in dabbable extracts? Right. So, and I've never had that in the legacy market, where you can find a genetic and then try it in flower form, unless you're growing it and washing it yourself and doing all that steps, to try it in all 4 different formats. Is something that I've always wanted to see, and like, once I like the flower, I want to try it in resin form. That's really what Tribal's all about, is really getting those genetics and then those categories, and it's you know exactly what product you need for the type of journey you're gonna do. And then Nugs is your legacy deal gone legal. This guy is. For the brand for me is just, how can we offer high quality cannabis products at the most affordable prices and make it and stay true to the culture. Right. And that's why you have the bright yellow colors, you have the California vibe on it, you got all these logo strain arts that we work really hard. You got the Happle, so we make sure that the Happle, which is to smoke hash from, that all our products, you're also consuming it in the best format, right? And with the best accessory, and we make it very cheap as well. Nugs is like, he opens his trench coat and he's got all kinds of different products for you, right?
Does the guy on 99 Design get any royalties? Or I went deep on the research.
Yeah. No, Hambas was his name is. We gotta find. Right. Yeah. We gotta find that guy, because that guy. Yeah, he probably needs some royalty.
So are you is the kind of guy that is like up till 3 a.m. just like fucking writing in your iPhone next to your wife kind of thing?
No, I got my fucking Starship office that I go into, and I got a gym in there, and I got my dab station, and I got my computer, and I work till 3 a.m. but I just get creative. I do finance, I get that out of the way, all my emails, and then I have time to get creative.
Nice. And is it sort of a different approach mentally? Like, how do you bifurcate those different mindset? So like, on one side it's like number crunching, and on the other side you're like, fucking yellow's the color. Those are 2 different things. Ostensibly, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're just you're doing your day-to-day things. You're eating your Cheerios in the morning, and you get this shit, I got this idea. Yeah. But what's really cool is that I'm in a position where you get these ideas, and I'm able to act really quickly on them, have the team deploy them, right. See them through, and kind of make that whole picture become a reality. So just like anyone, man, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, you're just going out through your day, drinking coffee, smoking a joint, and you just get this. I'm in the middle of doing a spreadsheet, and this idea comes, and I'm like, shit. And I gotta put it in. I don't use a notepad, but I go in my Excel. I fucking put my notes there, and that's what I do.
So with the 3 brands, I've heard you launched them at the same sort of time. Was it a risk for you launching 3 in terms of bandwidth and capital? Like, you're looking at the budget in addition to the branding, so it's obviously a lot of work to launch one brand, one product, one SKU is enough, but to launch this full suite of families across 3 different channels, how did you view that? What was your thought process there?
Yeah, so I mean, we started with 3 brands, so it was kind of like the full picture, and I just wanted I want to make sure when we're building the company that because we're vertically integrated and we're actually growing the cannabis, I want to make sure that we're using the whole plant, from the A buds to the B buds to the C buds to the trim, but use it smart, right? Use it really intelligently, and not put, trim and pre-rolls and do all kinds of stuff like that, right? So by creating these 3 brands, we had an avenue to utilize the full plant that we grow, Even before we even harvest it, most of our products are fresh frozen, so we actually cut it at harvest and freeze it and use the whole plant for extraction.
Is that unique? Is that a unique?
A lot of people do from dry, but there's whenever it says live on a product, technically, that it's supposed to be live harvested, but I don't think there's many companies that are growing it and harvesting it and bringing it into their BHO lab, which is right next door, and doing it at the volume we're doing it. So it's very, very fresh, fresh as can be. And yeah, I mean, that's where forgot your question, but
it's all good, man. All good. So you have a financial and accounting background. Do you think that affected how you approach the go-to-market strategy? Like, you guys are profitable, which is unique, rare. So do you think that informed your process versus being more of like a product guy would be like, fuck the budget.
Yeah.
Let's do this marketing. Let's do this activation. We need to be here and there, kind of thing. Like, it seems fairly measured, your approach. So
yeah, probably caught this my tagline too, because you're all over my taglines here. But I like to say that I play chess, not checkers here, because in most companies, you got the finance team, you got the product dev team. The product dev team comes up with something, doesn't even work. The accounting team, finance team doesn't know if the product's going to be successful. We're relying on each other, and then it just it's a lot of risk and ifs and buts and hopes that it goes through. But when you understand the whole business, the finance, the accounting, and then you're also the guy creating the products, from the packaging to the genetic inside to the type of packaging we use and cannabis genetic we use and everything that's put into the product. That's from my thoughts. So I'm able to create the products, look at everything, make it say, this is going to be a winner. Yes, can I afford it? Mm-hmm. This is a winning product.
Interesting. And so do you take, speaking of product development, do you extend it like from a market perspective where you're like, okay, there's no, just for lack of an example, like a good infused 1 gram pre-roll, for instance, let's say, and you're like, let's key in on that and let's solve for that? Or is it more like, I love this is amazing kind of thing? It's more personal.
Yeah. Under tribal, it's very formatted, so it's we're looking at the highest quality of product. Like, tribal's not going to play in the milled category. It's just looking for the highest quality of product and doing it as best as possible. Nugs that's where we have flexibility, and it will play in the milled category, but with high quality as well. So I think that's really where what comes advantage. They play with both brands, play with each other very well, and Nugs is exactly that. Looking for where Nugs and Tribal is currently not playing in. If we find a product category that the market wants and we see volume and people are consuming product, then Nugs goes in there and says, how can we do it better, and how do we do it better? And that's we start with the freshest ingredients. We put the detail into the packaging. Right. We figure out, give you an accessory to make sure that the consumption method is done properly. So we really try to think of like all avenues to really kick that category.
So like all avenues in terms of the customer experience.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Gotcha. So is that kind of where the ARC comes in? You kind of saw that there was no...
Absolutely. I've been using the ARC for 7 years, 8 years, or now 10 years probably now. And yeah, like when I joined the company, I was like vaping. The vape carts was my jam at that time. Really wanted to bring the quality that I was consuming to the legal market. I didn't see it. And yeah, so I worked, we worked with my partner to build a BHO lab. We got certified on how to extract. We were there the first run. We did the actual first run of our gelato mint vape resin carts ourselves to get that product and make sure that quality is there, right? So definitely we're in the weeds when we work, but that's the fun of it.
For sure. Just looking at the overall sort of like family of brands, there doesn't seem to be one like call out characteristic or USP where it's like, we're the cheapest or we've got the highest THC. It seems to be sort of like this amalgam of small, reasonable, common sense decisions versus this sort of like, polarity where you're like, we need to be the absolute of one thing. Like, how did you arrive at that? Is it just...
It's just the quality of product. Like, whenever you consume a good quality cannabis product, it's not just one thing, and whoever consumes cannabis knows that.
Right.
You smoke a joint, you got a checklist of like 10 different things that you got to make sure they check the box. So I just did a pheno hunt of 250 plants. We chose 2. So I spoke 250 different genetics to choose 2, and that went through all the checklists. So the one that got 34% THC went into the garbage. Right, for us. Maybe another company that would have been their winner, and maybe I would have sold a shit ton because it's 34th or whatever. But
it didn't hit these other properties that you're looking for.
Exactly.
Do you get kind of tired of it in terms of like these 250 phenos that you're testing? Is it sort of like it becomes work at some point where you're like, writing all this shit down about each one, or is it sort of more personal?
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like it's my babies. I choose the seeds, I grow it, I see the whole operation, and then I'm doing it because I want to see other people enjoy and get the best product, right? I want to see that tribal line up there, right? So yeah, it's work, but I get high at the same time.
Yeah. You mentioned at the beginning you weren't growing. Is that a skill that you've kind of been honing over time?
I wish I could, but I got no bandwidth.
Right.
Maybe
no time.
I think that's my old. When I'm in my elderly age, there I'll probably have a little grow myself and do shit. But for now, we got 120,000 plants at the facility.
Holy shit.
We're national, running across Canada.
Right.
I do the finance, marketing, sales, R&D, IR, everything.
Right.
And so right now my partner Zohar, he takes care of he started the company, didn't know nothing about growing from the beginning, just wanted to get into the industry, but he stayed true to what he promised, and he said he couldn't find people to run the garden at that scale because no one has ever done that. So he just learned it himself, grinded he's there 8 hours a day. This guy, you ask him any cultivation question, any grow question, I can guarantee you he'll outbeat anybody on grow.
And that's just from like figuring it out on the job, just
figuring it out on the job. But you're figuring it out on a 1 million square foot facility of 52 grows a year of the same. At the beginning, he had our first facility. We had a harvest every week at our smaller rooms. Now it's a harvest every 2 weeks, but a 10,000 plants versus a harvest every week of 1,000 plants. Gotcha. So, but you can imagine if you're doing the same thing 1,000 plants a week, and you can tweak, and you're writing down your notes, and you're seeing every step of the way with the same genetic, and you understand the plant, you're gonna learn something, right? You're gonna be an expert at it, right? And
gotcha.
So, and he actually loves doing it.
Right. Speaking of that and learning on the job, how do you walk me through sort of like your personal day to day? Like, are you in the office, caller on 8 hours a day, or is it like what's your typical sort of week look like?
Yeah, it's just hustle, brother. I just go to work. I wake up a bit late. Go to
Elon Musk. He's a night owl.
That's it. I'm a night owl. So I wake up, go to the office, and then it's just fucking put on your helmet and go to work. As soon as I open the office door, this question takes probably like 40 minutes to get to my office. Sit down, have a cup of coffee. Then I have probably already accumulated 80 to 100 emails that I have to start working through. I have projects, ideas, creative things on my noteboard that I want to do. So I don't really have my calendar that guides me through like my meetings and shit. But every time I have a blank hole, it's just like try to get on top of emails. If I have a creative session, I'll do a creative session. It's just kind of fly by and just grinding. Grinding. You got it.
How do you? You've grown into sort of the face of the company, the face of the company now, especially on social. Is that something you see as sort of an acquisition channel? And do you see a connection between the business side and the social side kind of thing? Like, is it becoming a lever for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I joined the company in 2019, I had this vision, like I didn't see a corporate I had this vision for my brands and what products I wanted to create in the brands, but then I wasn't sure on how to make sure that the public knew that this is coming from actual love of the plant and not just like all these big cannabis companies. We were a public company too. I was joining as a public company, so I saw that like if I built these brands and there was no one behind it, then it might
be frowned upon, or not frowned upon, but like looked at as a big, just another corporate company, right? So I mean, I think after 2 months I joined, I created, you know, the accounts, the socials. I've never been on social before, and I was just like, let me just show what I'm doing, and let's try to, you know, put a face to the products and what we're creating. And cannabis people are it's a community, right? We talk each other. It's the same faces, more and more faces, but like it's the same people and it's the same group. We all have a lot of in common, and I think community and talking to each other and showing what there's actually thought and love behind these product creation. I think it's important.
Right. It's a person, not sort of like a balance sheet decision of why you made this thing.
That's it.
Cool, man. What's it like being a CFO of a public company?
I mean,
it seems intense.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for me. Definitely, like some other most CFOs are very focused on the finance side. I have a solid finance team, a left hand that like takes care of a lot of the finance stuff, so I can do what I do on the other side. But for me, I love it. I love it because, like I said, it allows me to be at the highest level, create products, price them, get them to market, create them. See, like the only reason we're gonna fail is because of me, and if the grow doesn't work. So, you know, I take that challenge to heart, and I'm gonna make sure that we're successful.
Nice. You mentioned in a podcast that I listened to that Orchid was going to sort of branch out into some more wellness applications, like different categories. Is that still kind of your thought process, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that Orchid has an avenue for creams, edibles, topicals, perfumes, all kinds of stuff. It's just that, again, we're running a mile so fast. So I think, you know, the market, I think, appreciates travel and nugs right now, and eventually we'll be able to get to Orchid, but I don't want to rush the creative process. It has to be well thought out products. So when we launch a product, it's a good product.
Speaking of which, sort of where do you see the industry going right now? Like, what's an innovation that you see on a macro scale? Like consumption lounges, is it wellness trend, which I don't think so personally, but like, what are you seeing coming down the pipeline?
It's a good question. I think hopefully it's just more destigmatization.
Okay.
Nice. So that more and more consumers are joining the party. More and more people are understanding the benefits of cannabis. Increase just the
legal market.
The legal market, exactly.
Right.
So.
What do you think is a way to do that? I mean, is it sort of like, you know, the social, the contextualizing it? Is it?
Yeah, social, definitely time. You can't rush this, but this is a process that, you know, just humans have to go through. So it's just time, you know, good products out there so that people have good experiences, and then tell other people about good experiences. Good people on the ground, so that's the bud tenders out there that are, you know, recommending products and giving good advice to customers to try. And I think it's just eventually time and good product will get that equation. Yeah.
What's next for Cannara? What are you excited about? What products, innovations?
Just continuing doing what we're doing. We're on our 10th room of 24. Each room is 25,000 square feet, 10,000 plants. We're going to turn on more rooms, continue our market share increase in Quebec, Ontario, Alberta. Alberta, we started in May of this year, and we went from a 0.1% market share to I think it was just under 3 or 2 point something percent market share. And
you're in all provinces now, full steam?
No. We're just in Quebec, Ontario, Alberta, and BC. Saskatchewan as well, but very, very small. We still have all the eastern side. We're in the major markets, but there's still many markets that we're not in yet. And like in Alberta, which is the second largest market, we just started 5 months ago.
Gotcha.
Selling into that province.
What's your favorite market? What's your favorite Cannara product that you've released so far? Like, what's one that it's probably a very hard question, obviously, but what's one that you seem to come back to?
It's hard to answer, man. I like them all.
It's good corporate answer.
Yeah,
I like it.
No, it's because it's all like the genetics I come up with. You know, like I choose the genetics. I have this vision of how this lineup of, if I didn't like a product, it wouldn't be in the 48 lineup. But like as any cannabis consumer, as soon as you drop the new, that's what you're smoking for the next month or so. So I mean, I've been on the drip station and jigglers. I'm also pheno hunting, so I'm on the 2 new tribal genetics that are gonna get released next year. So actually, that's what I've been smoking on and liking a lot, actually.
Right on. So each product has its place. I love it. That's all I got, man. I really appreciate you joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Cheers. There it is.